Okay, this is a video on how to prepare your substrate for a graphics wrap. Now let's define substrate. Substrate is whatever you're applying the graphics to. That could be a clear Lexan RC body, that could be a plastic panel on an ATV or dirt bike. But in the case of Darkside Studios, it's going to be likely ATV, dirt bike, or RC parts. Now, RC parts can cover the full gamut, right? So we're talking about RC boats, we're talking about clear Lexan bodies, and so forth. I'm going to just jump right into the tools that you're going to need to prepare. What I want to cover first is your workstation. It's very important to have a nice, clean workstation. You don't want to be installing graphics on a piece of plywood in the garage or an oily workbench. Those are some of the things you want to avoid at all costs. Best places to do this install is a nice clean tabletop that you've wiped down with soap and water, remove the dust and all the other debris. Once you do that, it's also important to go into it with a clean set of hands. So now that we have our workstation prepped and our hands clean, we're ready to jump into the tools of the trade here. So one of the things I like to use the most is isopropyl alcohol. Now, I have dumped isopropyl alcohol into this spray bottle because I use it almost every day. But for short, we call it ISO. I like to use 99% or higher. You can get a product like that at Walmart, any hardware store, any grocery chain. It's very common. If you are working on a very used ATV or dirt bike, I often will use methyl ethyl ketone. Now, that's a very, very strong solvent. So follow all the precautions on that container, but you can use it to get rid of deep oil and gas spills on your plastics before doing your install. For RC, the ISO is more than adequate. The next thing I have are these cheap, what I like to call lint-free cloths. I got these from Harbor Freight. They usually have them on sale. Amazon has them. You can find these pretty much anywhere. The other thing I have, and I'm just going to get into some of the tools for installation here, is an X-Acto knife with a nice sharp blade. I've got a squeegee with no felt, and I've got a squeegee that's wrapped with felt. Both of these you could also get off of Amazon. The other thing I like to keep on hand is a wrapper's glove. Now, you don't have to have this, but it's nice when you're smoothing down graphics to have a reduction in friction by using this glove. If you don't want to buy the glove, take one of your clean cloths that hasn't had any water or soap or alcohol added to it, and you can use it to do your friction reduction if you want to smooth out some graphics. The next product I like to have is a tack cloth. You can get this at a hardware store, Home Depot, Walmart, very cheap. It's just, cheap gauze with a little bit of wax applied. And what this will do is it'll grab any pieces of dirt or dust before you do your installation. I do like to have a heat gun at all times. If you're in the RC graphics market, or if you've already purchased some RC graphics, you can pretty much get away with a blow dryer. ATV graphics and dirt bike graphics are much thicker. You're going to want to probably have something a bit more heavy duty to get those materials to soften over turns. For that, you're going to want a heat gun. And finally, I like to keep some 3M Primer 94 on hand. Primer 94 is a great little tool, and I got this off Amazon in this little vial here. If you're having trouble with the graphic curling up on the edge and not sticking down on an edge, I'll show you how to use this Primer 94 pen. So the best scenario, and I'll go through this ATV, dirt bike, and RC. ATV dirt bike doesn't really matter. Plastics come in all colors, but with the RC world, the best color plastics to install any graphics kit on is black. If you have a body that's got a bunch of designs screen printed onto it, the best thing you can do, while not mandatory, is spray it gloss black. I know that you're not going to be able to spray it on the back side. You probably will have to spray it on the front side, but as long as your bond is good, you can spray the outside gloss black and install the graphics over top. A couple things to keep in mind. I'm not going to get into how to spray bodies because they're all different. You're going to need to do that one on your own accord. If you do decide to spray it, you need to give it a while, a couple days to outgas before putting the graphics on. If the spray paint isn't completely outgassed, you can bubble and blister the graphics because it's trying to outgas and the graphics are preventing it. Really what I tell my customers, if you're going to invest in some good graphics, some good quality graphics, the best thing to do is just pick up a clear Lexan body, spray it black on the backside. The reason that black is the best is because with the RC, the graphics, for the most part, from Darkside Studios are pre-cut to fit. So there are some gaps, as you can see in this example here, between all the different pieces. And what makes those gaps really unsightly is when you've got, factory designs on the body underneath that's crisscrossing and going in between the gaps. The eye really catches that inequality. And so that's why I always push my customers to just go with a black body. So let's say you get your graphics kit and you follow the instructions to unroll it. First thing you need to determine is, what color card do I have? For some people, there is no card. Like my ATV and dirt bike customers, most of those kits don't have a card. If you have a yellow card, it's probably because you have a chrome or honeychrome product. There are blue cards, which has to do and is indicative to the RC market or the RC wraps. And there's also a purple card as of right now. The purple card is for specialty prints that are done using a UV printer. So what happens is when you get your graphics in your package, you'll open it up. There may be a card inside. That card is more important than any leaflet instructions that are also stapled to it. That card will guide you to the correct videos. Every video will have my email address, so you can reach out to me with any questions or concerns or confusion that you may have. The installation process has been very dynamic over the years because the print technology has changed. And I realize that I've got a lot of different videos on my YouTube channel showing a lot of different techniques. And so that email address, if you do have any questions, just shoot me an email and I will very quickly direct you to which video or process is best for your specific product. So you're getting ready to do your install. You're going to unroll your graphics once they reach room temperature in a nice, clean, sterile table, and we'll set them aside. Again, this video will not be about how to install the graphics. There are playlists on the YouTube channel for that. This is how to get ready to install the graphics and the prep. So I'm going to take my 99% isopropyl alcohol, and I intentionally grabbed a dusty body here so I can show you, how we're going to do this. I'm going to take my ISO, spray down the Lexan, and all you're going to do is just clean it, right? Very simple, nothing to it. Again, my hands are clean and free of oils. You're going to go around the entire body. Now, if you have a new clear Lexan body, you do not obviously want to install it over top the protective film. Again, preferably you've already painted it black on the back side, and therefore you're able to remove the film and be ready for installation. So let's say we go on with our installation and you're having trouble getting an edge to sit down, or you come back into the shop the next day and you see there's an edge that's curled up. Sometimes this can happen because the graphic is overstressed and stretched too much and it wasn't heated enough during installation. Sometimes it can happen because the oils naturally on our skin tend to get on the edges of the graphics because that's where we grab them. So this is where the 3M pen comes in handy. You can get these on Amazon relatively cheap, under $10. They're good to actually keep on hand for lots of projects. This particular one has a glass vial inside the cardboard tube. You simply pinch it and you shake it a little bit and you'll start to see the fluid actually come out the tip. In fact, I can pull this out and you will see the glass vial there, right? And it's all contained within the cardboard. Once the tip, kind of like a marker, becomes saturated, just you can peel your graphic back a little bit, rub it down, and air dry it like this. You will see a discoloration on the Lexan. Okay, so be aware of that. Don't do this if you don't, want to discolor your Lexan, but the graphic should cover it once it lays back down. So make sure you only lay this stuff down where the graphic is going to cover. It's very important to make sure that this is fully cured and dry before laying the graphic back down. It does dry fast, but just be double sure. You can actually watch it dry. It's that fast. and it will just have a little bit of a white haze. Lay the graphic back down, give it a little touch of heat, nothing major, and just massage it down, and the bond significantly increases, okay? So that really covers the RC end of things as far as prep. Now, when you do go to lay graphics down, there are a lot of videos on tips and techniques. There's wet apply, there's dry apply. Your card will dictate how you're gonna do that. If you have no card and you have an instruction leaflet, you're probably gonna be doing a wet apply per the instruction leaflet. I do almost always use a felt tip squeegee. This reduces the friction, right, against the wrap. If you were to take something like this, not only would it probably scratch your wrap, but it would chatter because it's jumping across that PVC. If you don't want to buy a felt tip squeegee and you just have a soft squeegee, go ahead and wrap it around a brand new cloth like this and you should be good to go. Okay, so this is, an example of a result of a successful install. Now, this particular wrap was a yellow card wrap. And the reason for that is because this is a very wily off-road machine, and this required a material that is extremely aggressive to stick to this Lexan because I didn't want it coming off for the customer. So this particular wrap is installed using the soapy water or rapid tack apply. It is way too tacky to just stick it on there and lift it off. Even though it is air egress, the surface energy of this Lexan is enough that there's really no such thing with this type of material as putting it on and then taking it back off easily. So we go with the soapy water, and that's why you have the yellow card. Conversely, you may have ordered something for a smaller RC car that's raced indoors or on a dirt track outdoors. Typically, those have blue or purple cards, and typically those are dry applied, although some of the blue card items are soapy water applied if you want, but they are designed foundationally to be dry applied. Now, finally, I do have dirt bike and ATV graphics. The process is the same. You will just take the ISO, you'll spray it down, and you'll wipe it down. The only difference with the ATV plastics is a lot of times, these machines are in and out of the shop. People are grabbing the plastics, and we have oil and grease on our hands. ISO can take oil and grease off, but not as aggressively as something like MEK or methyl ethyl ketone. So you may want to run down to the hardware store and get a little bit of that. Again, follow all the cautions for your personal health on the back of that container. Test it in an inconspicuous spot. Make sure it's not going to harm your plastic somewhere where you're going to see it, maybe under the fender. You assume all the risks with that methyl ethyl ketone, so just be sure to do that test first. One final thing I do sometimes is I will take this tack cloth right before I start to do the graphic installation, and I will just go over the plastic with a good light. I look down on the edge and I see if I have any large pieces of dust, tiny little specks of dust. Really, you're not going to see them. They're going to get absorbed into the sort of fluid dynamic adhesive that's on the back of the vinyl. But this is good to keep around, especially if you tend to be a perfectionist like me. I know a lot of my clients that pay me to do installs. They want them done really well, so I keep this on hand, and it has come in really, really handy. Again, you can get these extra tools if you want, but I'm showing you ways to get around it and still get the same quality without investing in those extra products. As always, my email address will be down in the description. If you have any questions about these items that I'm using, how to use them, where to get them, where I get them, please feel free to reach out. Until next time, thanks. See you again.